I'm sorry, like the angle keeps moving. Hello everyone, welcome back. It is a 3-day weekend. I'm so excited to just chill. I did not post a video last week. I was sick, but I am back and better and good as new. Today I'm going to be doing my top 10 favorite Netflix shows, and I'll just explain some of them. Most of these are really popular, so you've probably heard of them. Let's get into it. So number one is The Vampire Diaries. The Vampire Diaries is basically about Stefan and Damon. They're vampire brothers who are trapped in adolescent bodies. They're basically two vampire brothers who like feud with each other, so they're not exactly like the best of siblings. Stefan moves to Mystic Falls and meets Elena, and eventually Damon follows too because he likes causing trouble. And so basically throughout the series they compete for, well, not really compete, like they more like vie for Elena's affection and love. But there's obviously a bunch of other stuff happening throughout all the 8 seasons. You might think it's a cliche at the beginning, but it gets really good. And yeah. And number 2 is The Originals. The Originals is a spin-off version of The Vampire Diaries. In my opinion, The Originals is better. The Originals is about the Michelsons. The Michelsons is the family of the original vampires. Like, they're the original vampires, like the first family of vampires. So the Michelsons moved to New Orleans. My ear, like I can't hear out of my ear. So the Michelsons moved to New Orleans. New Orleans is like their old home, so they move back home to find their old friends ruling their city. They like encounter a lot of problems, and they form alliances with like witches and werewolves. They also like stumble upon problems with old friends, witches, werewolves, all those other supernatural types. It's, you think like, oh my gosh, werewolves, vampires, witches, all that stuff. Trust me, it's really good. I'm gonna get this going because this is gonna be a long video. Number 3 is Arrow. Arrow is basically based on the DC comics, and it's about Oliver Queen. At first he's like a playboy, but then he goes missing for 5 years on an island. He returns to Starling City, and he basically wants to get revenge for his father's death. But then towards like season 2 and stuff, like it starts to become more than that. He becomes like a vigilante superhero who saves his cities with bows and arrows, and he has like a little team Arrow, like he has little like team fighting with him. The next one is The Flash. Flash is also like they're a part of Arrowverse, kind of. Like if you watch Arrow, you should watch The Flash after that, just like the superhero DC comics shows. Flash basically follows Barry Allen, who's a forensic scientist who wakes up from a coma with all these amazing new superpowers of like speed and all of that, and he has 2 of his best friends help him out with everything. And basically he fights all these new forces, saving his city. It's kind of like Arrow, but not. But they're all connected. So anything that happens in Arrow happens in The Flash and all that. Number 5, Riverdale. Riverdale is based on the Archie comics, except it's a lot more darker. Basically, it's this town called Riverdale, and suddenly Jason Blossom goes missing. The first season follows like the murder of Jason Blossom, and like, because Riverdale's supposed to be this quiet town where nothing bad usually happens, but then something bad happens and the whole city's just like freaked out. It's kind of divided with the Southside Serpents and the Northsiders. And so yeah, it basically just follows that story. I don't know how to explain it. Number 6 is The Fosters. Okay, I just love The Fosters. Fosters is basically about Callie and Jude. And so Callie is in the foster system with her little brother Jude, and they're basically put into this new family. That family also has 2 adopted twins and 1 biological brother, and so they basically just face a lot of problems with Callie, Jude, the whole entire family. And honestly, there's so much drama in this show, but it's still really good. You should definitely go see that. Next is Gossip Girl. Where do I even begin to, like, literally the title explains it. It's just gossip. It's really good. It's about these New Yorkers. It follows their lives, and also there's this anonymous gossip girl, who leaks stuff and knows everything that's going on. So there's just a bunch of drama and gossip in New York. So the 100 is basically where like after a century of everything, there was a nuclear apocalypse and a bunch of radiation issues. I don't know how to explain it. Okay, there was a bunch of radiation issues and there are people in space. So in space, after a century, there's problems going on with their spaceships and everything. So they send like 100 residents, like 100 people down. They're like kind of prisoners, but they're not prisoners. They're just like, because every crime is punishable by death in their spaceship, except if you're younger than 18. So if you're younger than 18, you're just put in like their little prison. So they sent 100 prisoners who are basically like teenagers, right? Were sent to Earth to like discover whether it's habitable for everyone up there to come down. And it's honestly so good. So good. I haven't finished it though. I'm on season 3, but you should definitely check that out. Next is Pretty Little Liars. Pretty Little Liars is basically about, I'm sorry, I keep saying basically. Pretty Little Liars is about 4 teenage girls who are basically lost and confused without their main queen bee leader, which is Allison De Laurentiis. Allison went missing, and so they used to be, the 4 teenage girls, they used to be really, really tight, but then without Allison, they sort of just fell apart. And suddenly they like come together whenever a blackmailer called A starts sending them threatening messages, and they basically try and figure out who it is and overcome many obstacles together and find themselves becoming close again, and basically just try and find out what happened to Allison and try and figure out who A is and to just stop everything. So yeah. Lastly, I have Stranger Things. I saved the best for last because Stranger Things is honestly the best. Stranger Things is a Netflix original, and I'm pretty sure like everyone watches this show. If you haven't, what are you doing? So basically, Will Byers goes missing, and like literally it's kind of funny because the adults, you think the adults would be doing stuff, but like in this show, the adults kind of like are a little out of it, like the parents, and it's more the kids doing something about it. So Will Byers goes missing one night, and his 3 best friends, Mike, Dustin, and Lucas, are basically just confused, trying to figure out what happened. Like the police are not really that not really that engaged in figuring out what happens to Will, because they think it's just like a prank or something, that he's not really even missing. And the small town Hawkins, Indiana, just they go crazy trying to unsolve the mystery of what happened to Will. And like as they're doing that, they uncover a bunch of different secrets, and basically they also discover Eleven, and Eleven is like a lab rat kind of. She's a girl who was raised in Hawkins laboratory, and they basically did experiments on her because she has psychokinetic superpowers, like abilities. They also have so many different mysteries that they didn't know would happen in the small Hawkins, Indiana town. But it is honestly just amazing. You should definitely watch it. Like, just drop everything and just go start it. Go start all of these shows because it's just amazing. Okay, that's it for today. All of these shows are great. I love them. You should definitely go see some of them. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please give this video a thumbs up and comment down below suggestions on any videos you want to see from me. I will see you all next week. Bye! Comment down below suggestions on videos you want